Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Inshallah, we are from the group 5. We'll make the presentation about the topic of Thomas Aquinas. This is our group members. In the book of the Kisatul Falsafah Hadisah, the topic of Thomas Aquinas is above the main topic Al-Madrasi Aristoteles. That means before we know the thought of Thomas Aquinas, we must know the philosophy before him. And one of them is Albert Magnus. Most of his writing was commentary about the opinion of knowledge, al-ilmu, and the opinion of Aristotle. He says that there are differences between philosophy and religion. Major difference is about the foundation. Foundation of philosophy is human intellect, al-akal, al-aqlu, and foundation of religion is al-ilham, inspiration or revelation, al-wahyu. He attempted to bring those two foundations close together and reduce the gap between these two sides. He admitted that some religion doctrine cannot be proven with mind, such as Trinity, Al-Taslis, and Incarnation. Everything that is found in philosophy is equal to what is found in religion, but revelation, Al-Wahyu, is higher than the mind. This is a little information about the Thomas Aquinas. Thomas Aquinas was born in 12 and 25 or 12 and 26 in Italy. His father name is Landolf and his mother Theodora. In the year 12 and 36, he studies at the University of Naples. There is a lot of his book, but the most famous one is Summa Theologica. And he passed away in the year 1274. And the next slide is about the opinion of the Thomas Aquinas. Best Aquinas, philosophy and theology are not contradictory, but in reality there are two successive steps that complement each other to look for knowledge. Man begins to attain it by using his intellectual activities, and the next step is these intellectual activities will complemented with religious information and to achieve the highest perfection. So when we see the opinion of Thomas Aquinas, this equally with the opinion of Albert Magnus and equally to the opinion of Aristotle. Aquinas was follow him on the issue distinction between intellect, al-akal, and inspiration, al-ilham, and what bring from these two facts. Aquinas also spare a lot of effort to take Aristotle methods in philosophy in support Christian doctrine.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Faizal bin Sadwi. My metric number is 047059. So I will continue this presentation. First point is Aquinas believed that human had get his knowledge of the world from two sources. First is intellect and second is revelation. As for the knowledge from intellect, it need to be referred to in the writing of Aristotle. Then come the revelation of Al-Quran, inspired by God, an issue that could not be reached by the human mind. People is qualified to read what Aristotle wrote and what is writing in Al-Quran to know all that is necessary to know. Next is Aquinas believed to all the teaching of the church. In other words, its mission is to show the relationship between revelation and science, or between reason and belief. His stand in Christian is Al-Ghazali stand in Islam, and he argues that reason and belief have a purpose. However, each took this own path. For knowledge that is learned outwardly has to do with the phenomena of the universe, with the head of what the five senses go through. We gain knowledge from the experience of the five senses. This is called the five sense method. Third, human is able to reach to know God, goodness, and power of God, Allah, but only after going through certain knowledge. It must have a revelation to solve it, which the revelation human know what is above the knowledge and that come to him from five sense history. Next, intellect and belief are not contradictory. What makes the difference is that the intellect is the way to know the physical side, while the revelation helps us to realize or know God. So intellect and akidah are important for human being to know and complete knowledge. However, Aquinas put the mind in second place because he realized that spiritual knowledge is not fully accessible to mind. That's all from me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulil amin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Insyaallah, ismi Muhammad Falsafah bin Ahmad Fauzi. الآن سأعرض وسأخبر وسأتكلم عن أكوينس من حيث نظرية المعرفة. وقبل هذا أكوينس هو إحدى فيلسوف، وفلسفته يتخذ من فلسفة أرسطو، لأن الأرسطو التي إذا يحصل المعرفة هو يستعمل كثيرا العقل. إذا قرأت الكتاب عن أكوينس ونظريته الأولى، يعني هو يؤمن التعليم الكنيسة، يعني هو يدرسه ويعلمه التعليم الكنيسة، ثم هو يجعله ويحصله التعليم الكنيسة في أبحاثه أساسا لعقائده، لأنه في أبحاثه يبين العلاقة بين الوحي والعلم أو بين العقل والعقيدة. والثاني كان موقفه نصرانية كموقفه الغزالي في الإسلام، لأن أكوينس يسلك الطريق الخاصة بغرض الواحد حين يستعمل العقل والعقيدة. والثالث يعني أكوينس إذا يصل المعرفة هو يستعمل طريق الحواس، يعني هو يستعمل طريق الحواس من حيث يحصل المعرفة، لأن يرى أكوينس الإنسان يستطيع أن يصل إلى معرفة الله وخيره وإراداته وقوته وغيرهم. والثالث وعلى الوحي تقوم العقيدة. يعني الإنسان يجب التسليم العقيدة حين بإقامة الوحي، لأن الوحي تمام المعرفة وتكمل المعرفة. والعقيدة هي مرتبة الأعلى من العقل، لأن العقيدة تدرك المعرفة أو أن يصل إلى المعرفة، يعني بحقيقة الأشياء، ولكن العقل ليس بوصول إلى المعرفة، لأن العقل هو أعجز من العقيدة. وقال الدكتور البيلي في كتاب التفسير الدين، يعني هو يخبر عن أكوينس ونظريته، قال في كتابه الأولى: نشأ المذهب أكوينس من حيث نظريته العقل والوحي. قال الدكتور عن أكوينس في نظريته، يعني يقول يستطيع الإنسان أن يصل إلى حقيقة الأشياء، يعني بإحدى طريقتين باختلاف في كل اختلاف. والثالث يمثله الحقيقة الأشياء البسيطة كالوجود الله ووحدانية وخلود الروح، وحقيقة البارزة في نظرية بطليموس عن الكون. وقال أيضا ويقول أيضا العقيدة والعلم واجب أن يسير بطريق واحد ليعلم حقيقة الأشياء، ليعلم المعرفة وغيرهم، لكن هما إذا بعد معرفة هما محدود. والرابع الكتاب المقدس، يعني إذا دون الكتاب المقدس الإنسان لا يستطيع يعمل عن تسليس الله، والإنسان لا يستطيع يعمل عن نظرية الخلق، والإنسان لا يستطيع يعمل عن حياة الدنيا وعن الخطة التي كتب الله للخلاص. والخامس إذا قال العلماء، يعني قال العلماء إذا يقول العلماء الخبر من كتاب المقدس، قال أرسطو عنه كلها هذا الخرافات، لأن أرسطو يظن العلماء لا يستطيعون أن يخرجوا البرهان بالصحة. هذا قال الأرسطو عن ذلك. وأخيرا المنهج أكوينس، يعني عن الله في منهجه قال أن الله موجود في كل مكان، فهو أي الله في كل شيء من غير جزاء من جوهره، يعني هو يؤمن الله في كل مكان، ويؤمن أيضا في الله دون جزء من جوهره. والثالث إذا كان الله هو خالق كل كون وهو القوة، يعني إذا الله يخلق الكون يخلق العالم، يعني التي الله بإرادة البشرية، فليس هو يخلق خالق الشر. لكن أكوينس يرى ما أرتاه أغسطين، إن الشر يجد الخير ولم يضج إلى الناس، لأن سمح الله بوجود الشر من أجل الخير. هذا فقط عنه. وخلاصته أكوينس كثير يستعمل هو تقريب من فلسفة أرسطو، لكن هو ثقيل، يستعمل العقيدة ليصل أو ليكمل تدرك المعرفة بمتابعة العقل، وتجاربه من طريق الحواس ليصل المعرفة. هذا الآراء أكوينس فقط والله أعلم.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name Muhammad Zulfikar bin Zakaria, number metric 047609 from Usul semester 8, class A. Next, I will present about the difference between Thomists and Scottists about the position of mind and will. Firstly, Dan Scotus is known as the most powerful one who countered the criticisms and oppositions of Thomas Aquinas. He was born in England or Ireland around the year 1266 or 1273. He received his studies at the University of Oxford when the opposition to Thomas' philosophy was at its strongest. Then he was later a professor in Oxford, Paris, and Cologne. And then he died in the year 1959, and a historian of philosophy Windelband believes that Scotus was the most accurate and deepest thinker of Middle Ages. From the vastness of the successor between Aquinas and Scotus, each of them had proponents and supporters. Because of that, arise two opposing philosophical schools that fill with the names of these two leaders, namely the Thomists and the Scottists. Besides, there is disagreement between these two schools, that was, which of them is more honorable than the strength of the soul, the will, or the mind. As for the Thomists, they elevate the mind and gave it a status above the will. And as for the Scottists, went to the contrary, placing the will above the mind. The Thomists argument in favoring the mind, because according to them, the mind is not limited to understanding the idea of good only, but more than that, the mind knows what is good in each case, and with the knowledge of the good, it can direct the will in its path. But their opponents deny that, because if it is true, every moral responsibility would have gone away from man, and he would have been forced, because the will in this situation is subject to reason and has nothing of its matter. According to them, the moral responsibility is based on the fact that the mind cannot compel the will or force it to this or that behavior. And the task of the mind may not be more than presenting to the will a different situation, and it has the right to choose from among them whatever it wants. Thank you.
My name Muhammad Afif Muhammad Rasli, metric number 047219, student semester 8. I read the difference between Thomist and Scottish. Next. It has been followed by the faith of God, but they responded this conclusion. Because a natural necessity for the intellect to the divine good, indeed Allah does not create except what they know in their best result. Let everyone understand it with the first thought and the will of second act, and when as not following the will of the God of their life, and that makes it easier for them to think about divinity is known as Scottish, already parent to Taurus, like for the power of God, which is obligatory to be creed absolute of every form creed. Next, let everyone understand it with the first thought and the will of the second act, and when as not following the will of the God of their life, and that makes it easier. Indeed Allah then is created knowledge which has been created except with His will and unite, and then is has able to create it with every picture of the words He wants. Then do not stop the different education at that time. Even with the current hatred of moral, our education did not stop at the law. Next, At a time when they see Socrates with the view that goodness is possible, will be a good because God becomes her wills for him that there will be solved before her direct with God. Wherever they have made wise decision in that the weak intellect is not able to produce the knowledge of goodness, because knowing it is impossible to create except by revelation and inspiration.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Muhammad Afif Atiqullah bin Abdul Hamid. Number metric 047968. Today I would like to present subject modern philosophy. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Okay. The title is The Era of the Fall of Scholastic Philosophy. The first point is the scholarly philosophy was heading in general towards an attempt to reconcile belief and belief, that is between religion and philosophy, and along with the scholastic movement. The second point is another movement arose that required people to live a whole life of piety, asceticism, worship, and meditation. This movement is known as a Sufi movement. Next, Francis of Assisi, most prominent man. He saw the ideal of Christian life in contemplation, astonishment, and absorption in the suffering of Christ. Okay. Okay. Next, one of the students of Nescotus, for his view, were calling for the cause of the scholastic philosophy. The phenomena of things are nothing, and there are no facts in the universe except for individual partial things and their solution. The end of the Christian scholastic philosophy, there are several developments. Among them, starting with the scholastic philosophy of the Platonic stream, that is a stream that follows the thinking of the Plato, or a tribute to the philosophy of nominalism. The second phase is the phase in which scholastic philosophy has shifted from following Plato's line of thought to Aristotle's line of thought. The third phase is the phase of collapse to scholastic philosophy, or scholastic philosophy is in its final days. At this stage, who played a role in the collapse of the philosophy of nominalism was William Ockham. He was one of the students of René Descartes. What William Ockham did was a lot of provocation and opposition as well as criticism. Okay. Next, he also called on the clever intellectuals at that time to leave the scholarly by unraveling some of the problems that occurred in the scholastic philosophy itself, and managed to unravel how obsessed the Christian followers at that time were with the scholastic philosophy. William Ockham also played a role in society at the time to abandon scholastic philosophies and claim that philosophies brought by ancient philosophers such as Aristotle and Plato had many errors. Until the error cannot be corrected except by the way we correct the method in the foundation of philosophy. The last point is that is why at that time there was a change to modern philosophy. The last phase is the intermediate phase between scholastic or Christian philosophy with modern philosophy. Thank you.